Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. You have seen in the previous tutorials or previous videos how to create and test a Laravel project, more specifically the API section of Laravel. Now we are ready to implement our front end. In this section or in this video, we are going to install as usual all the necessary tools and packages for the front end development. So we're going to install TypeScript. The next package we have to install is Vue. And we need to install Vue router. Another package that we will need is, it's called Vue TypeScript, I guess. It's a TypeScript tooling utility that is designed specifically for VUE3 projects. And it uses TypeScript. Basically, this package, it will enhance the development experience by providing tools for type checking, compiling, and ensuring that the TypeScript code that we're going to write inside Vue files and aka the extension .vue work as expected. So this is the main purpose of this package. And now we have to install the types of types node. So this package is going to provide the type definitions for Node.js. It enables actually the TypeScript to understand and provide type checking for Node.js. Specific modules and API for sure. It's not included by TypeScript by default, so we have to install it. For testing, we will use Cypress. I found it to be the most easiest one, and it's very documented, and it's lightweight, and it's very good. It provides a lot of functionality, so we're going to use for the end-to-end testing Cypress. Oh, finally, it took quite some time. And again, we have to install the types for Cypress. We have to install Vuetify, which is basically, it's like a material UI or a toolkit that's going to help us to build components, and it has the style almost of Material UI. We will use, or we'll install another package that's going to give us the icons, and it's called Iconify Vue. So it's the icons, and we're going to install the font, Material Design font by Material Design. And we have to install a utility package called Web Font Loader. It's a utility package that's going to help us to load dynamically web fonts into the web applications. It is commonly used to load fonts asynchronously and manage font loading events, such as font loading, success, or failure. This can improve the performance of our application and user experience. By, of course, preventing the flash, or there is a common issue called flash of invisible text or flash of unstyled text. These are common issues when loading the fonts on web applications. So this package is going to take care of this asynchronously, of course. We're going to use something like view models. There is no such a thing as view model for the state management, but I have found a very lightweight solution. And it's very cute and very pretty straightforward. It's called Pinia. So we're going to install this package. It's called Pinia Store. It's very good. You're going to like it. So this is the state management for our project. Next, we're going to install a couple of dependencies, such as the player for Lottie animations. So another plugin that's going to help us to load our custom SVG, Vite plugin SVGR. So basically what it does, it transforms the SVG as a component. The next that we have to use is another Vite plugin, which is called Vuetify. So we are going to work with Vite. Vite is a fast front-end build tool and development server for modern web applications. So briefly, what's going to provide? It's going to provide instant server start with native modules and hot reload capability, and it's optimized actually for production using rollup, and it's going to support frameworks like Vue, React, Svelte, and Vanilla.js. In short, Vite makes development and building modern web applications faster and smoother. So we're going to take advantage of this plugin. So that's why I am installing all the necessary tools for Vite. So now we have installed SVGR. Now we're going to install the Vite plugin for Vuetify. We're going to install the SVG loader finally. You have to bear with me because there is a lot of dependencies. The first one is for Vite in order to recognize the SVG files. And the second one, which is SVG loader, is going to transform our SVGs to like a component. We have to install the Vite plugin for Vue. And we have to install another package in order to work with Vite and Laravel. Now we have only to install 3 more packages. The first package is going to be for dependency injection. So we need to install Inversify and a plugin for Inversify to solve the mismatch between Vue Inversify and the Vue Inversify plugin. And the last one is the metadata that's going to be used by Inversify. So those are all 3 last packages that we're going to install. We're going to be done with installing all the necessary packages. Inversify. Look how many packages we have installed. The next one is going to be, I can't even spell it. We're going to add here legacy peer deps. And the last but not least, it's going to be reflect metadata. The only problem, I guess, here that causes this mismatch is the package that's called Vuetify Vue Inversify plugin. It's gonna cause a problem again, that's for sure. So we're gonna add this flag legacy peer deps. That's it. So at least there's 0 vulnerabilities, and I guess we are done with the packages finally. So these are all the packages that we will need. I guess that's pretty much it. Next, we need to configure TypeScript. So because we're not going to run the application just like this, we have to configure TypeScript. The configuration of TypeScript, I'm going just to copy paste my configuration, and I'm going to explain in detail what every line means. So first of all, we need to create a file that's called config.js or vitconfig.js. It's going to hold the TypeScript configuration of our project, because this is the beauty of TypeScript. It's going to be customizable. It's going to be called tsconfig.json. The TS configuration is going to hold the entire configuration of our TypeScript server. So I'm not going to enjoy typing the configuration. Here it is. You can find the configuration in the GitHub repository under the branch. Perhaps I'm going to call it front-end configuration or TypeScript or front-end dependencies configuration or something like this, and copy and paste everything here. So I'm just gonna explain briefly what each configuration is used for. So for the target, it's gonna be the target JavaScript version to compile to. Here we have specified as ES6 as the latest features or the latest version. For the second one, use define for class fields. It's basically to ensure fields that are defined in the way that aligns with the form or the standards of ES-Next version, a class field definition. So this are just standards of the module or the version ES-Next. For the module, it's going to be ES-Next. It's the module system to use. So this is the latest one, I guess. So in order to use, again, import. So we have to use import and export. So we have to, in order to use those keywords, we have to include this in the module. Lib, it's the libraries to include in the compilation. For the types, we have defined the reflex metadata for dependency injection, Vuetify client, and Cypress for testing. The skip library check basically means it's going to skip the check-in of declaration files. So anything that has to do, that has the extension of .d, .ts. Okay, I'm gonna write it here. So it's gonna be any file that has this kind of extension, it's going to be skipped for check-in. The experimental decorators, we are going to set it to true. For what reason? Exactly because we are going to use reflex metadata, and there are perhaps going to be some experimental decorators. So we're going to set it to true. Basically, it's just enable support of decorators in Vuetify. It's going to emit metadata for decorators. And it's going to require, it's required actually by frameworks that reflect like in Vuetify. So using in Vuetify, we have to set this value to true. A model resolution is going to be node, but basically it's bundler related settings. Model resolution strategy, it's just the strategy that helps in resolving module. And when bundling, it's going to import all the stuff from the tools like Webpack or Vite. We are using Vite, so we are going to use it to use model resolution to node. So here for allow an import TS extension, we're going to use import. So it's going to allow us to use import. Resolve JSON module, allow us to import any JSON file as a module. And the isolated modules to true, it means that it's going to ensure that each file can be treated as an isolated module, which can help with the module resolution. For the no emit set to true, this means that it's going to disable emitting any output files. It's going to be useful actually when just checking types without generating compiled code. For example, the next key, it's preserve. What are we going to preserve? So JS is preserved for further transformation commonly. So this next is going to be just for preserving further informations when we are dealing with React or Vue.js. Strict, it's going to be to true because of linting. It's going to enforce strict types or strict type check-in in the TypeScript compiler for a better type safety. We are using TypeScript, so we have to set it to strict, because otherwise, what's the point? So the next, it's going to be the base URL. I'm going to skip this one because it's too much actually. So the basic one, it's going to be the URL. So every base URL is going to start with this one. And for the path, we're going to define source. That's going to point to resources.js. Resources is here. So it's going to be resources and JS and source. This is the source folder. For the JS, this is just a shortcut. So for @JS, it's going to point actually to this folder, and for the CSS going to point to this folder, and for everything is going to point to the resources folder. So this is basically the basic configuration, and for the rest, it's going to. This is very important actually, and what it does. It excludes the node modules. So we're not going to include the modules. However, we're going to exclude the modules directories from TypeScript compilation because it's unnecessary to type check third-party dependencies. That's pretty much it. For the configuration of the TS for our TypeScript server, now we have to configure Vite configuration. So here is, you have to go to vite.config.js. So again, I'm going to copy paste my configurations for Vite in order not to stay here for forever. So this is my configurations here. The most importantly is we're going to use localhost, and the target is ESNext as done here in the TypeScript configuration. And we're going to define the rollup options to main.typescript. This is the main file. And for the chunk size, just for compilation purposes, we're going to define chunk size warning limit. So here, the main entry is going to be defined by main.typescript. The file name is going to be a bundle, and the format is the ESNext. For the plugins, as of Laravel, it's going to be the main entry is main.typescript. And as you can see here, we're not going to use JavaScript, it's a TypeScript. And those are all the plugins that we will use. We have installed Vue and Vuetify, and is visual loader and TypeScript configuration path. And we have to resolve, of course, the resources, TypeScript source and JS and CSS. We need to add a new configuration here into our project. It's going to be called shims view. It's going to be definition and TypeScript. So what is basically this file and what is used for? It's used for by TypeScript. And actually TypeScript does not by default understand the .vue extension as a single file component. So if you try to import .vue file in TypeScript, you will get an error. So basically the shims view.definition.typescript file is a TypeScript declaration file because it has the extension .d, so it's a definition file that tells TypeScript's compiler how to handle Vue files. In our case, we're just going to tell TypeScript that it's going to declare everything that has the extension .vue as a module. And that's pretty much it. So we'll add one last configuration file, which is environment.definition.typescript. So what is this configuration file again? It's briefly a declaration file, as you can see, as the .d.ts declaration file for TypeScript that tells, of course, TypeScript compiler about its built-in types like import or meta environments and other Vite specific features. So the question is why to declare it anyway? TypeScript by default, of course, does not know what is import meta environments. So we have to add a line of code here. So by adding this line of code, it pulls in Vite type definition so you can safely access things like console or import meta environments Vite API URL. For example, when we do this, we can easily do here afterward console.log. This is nothing substantial here, but we can access something like import and meta environment. Let's say, for example, Vite base URL or dev or wherever. So we can access this. So that's pretty much it for this for today's video. We have prepared our front end environment so we can implement our Vue.js application. And for the record, we're going to put everything here in the resources. This is where the application is going to be. You have actually two options, whether to make it outside this Laravel project or to ship it, for example, to a client within the same folder. So basically that's what I prefer to do, because we have this option to have the API and we have the option to make the same application within the same folder in the resources. So this is pretty much convenience. You can opt for the second option if you have the API otherwise in another server and you are going to build for the first time the client web version for the client in a different folder. So perhaps that's gonna make sense. But for us here, we have just to put the folder of the application here within the same folder of Laravel. So it's just a matter of choice. So I hope you liked the video and see you in the next one. Happy coding.